Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. We hope the audio is loud and clear. If you do have any problems or notice any problems with the audio, please just let us know with the chat feature so we can fix them as soon as possible. So, welcome. This is our very first Ask Me Anything webinar, and we are so pleased that so many of you could join us today. So, first of all, how's today going to work? Well, we decided to give you, our MateCat users, full control over what we talk about today. So I'm here with Alessandro Cattelan, who is product manager for MateCat, and he's going to dedicate the whole of the webinar to answering all of your burning questions on MateCat. That's right, no question is too big or too small, and our mission today is to leave no stone unturned, so please do ask us about anything you like, any doubts or curiosities that you may have. So earlier this week, we sent you out an email just giving you the chance to get your first questions in, and we did receive dozens of really great replies and some very, very interesting questions. So we're looking forward to answering them now. But of course, you can still ask your questions at any point. So if you do have a question or if something comes in mind, just go to the question and answer box and type your question in. Okay. So we can get started with the first question. This is one which came in via email. So, I'm a translator working mainly from Turkish to English and Italian. I have a problem with the segmentation of the original Turkish text and the absence of the function for merging and splitting segments, which makes the whole translation procedure almost impossible. I wonder if there's any plan to implement this feature in MateCat soon. Over to you, Alessandro.
Okay, thank you, Helen. And first of all, welcome everybody to this webinar. So we start off with a quite burning question indeed. I mean, I understand that merging and splitting of segments is one of the main problems with MateCat today. And unfortunately, I don't have a positive reply to our Turkish friend for today. But the good news is that we are starting to work on adding the merge functionalities to MateCat. And the work should be starting next week, more or less. So hopefully in a month or a month and a half, we should be able to deliver this new feature in MateCat, where you will be able to actually split segments, which you can do today, and also merge segments, which is not available yet, but will be probably in a month and a half.
Okay, and here's another question just come in from Grigori regarding machine translation. He asks, is machine translation word count always weighted the same for all language pairs?
Okay, thank you for this one too. So machine translation, you know that when you are translating in MateCat, you always get empty suggestions. The thing is, the quality of the MT varies across languages. And with MateCat, we are able to understand when the quality is good and when it is not that good. We look at the post-editing effort and the time to edit for, nowadays, millions of segments that you translated in MateCat. And what we do is we figure out whether for some languages we should use an 80% equivalent match for the MT, or an 85% or a 90%. That varies across languages. An example, if you translate from English into Italian, it's 80% because the quality is really good. English into French, the same. English into Spanish, the same. But what happens if you translate from Russian into Korean, for instance? Well, the quality there is a bit lower, so we increase the payable rate, and it goes up to 90%. So yes, the quality varies across languages, and we take that into consideration when running the analysis.
Okay, thank you, Alessandro. Next question, they're coming in. Here's one from Diana. She says, I work for a translation company. It happens that we use different translators for the same client and language. Some of them don't use MateCat, but in that case, how can we feed our TM for the next translation that will be handled in MateCat?
So you have two ways for doing this. If you have a mixed situation where some translators use MateCat and some don't, you can basically exchange the information using TMX files. That's the easiest one. Let's say that your translators, some of them, they translate in MemoQ, for instance. Well, from MemoQ, you can export the translation memory in TMX format, and then you can upload it to MateCat, to your private translation memory, and then use that private translation memory in MateCat for all your next jobs. Okay?
Okay, Diana, I hope that answers your question. Another one here, this one also came in via email. How private are my translations and my TMs really? Are they really hermetically sealed from all the other users, and in particular from you as the provider? Is it really confidential?
Okay, this links very well to our previous question. So let's have a look a bit in MateCat to try and answer this one. You can see here the interface of MateCat on your screens. So if you click on Settings, you have access to the Translation Memory and Terminology panel. Here, you may see a list of private resources, inactive resources. When you add one of these to your projects, you're basically saving if the update feature is enabled, just like in this case. So disabled, enabled. If the update feature is enabled, you are saving your translations into that private TM. That means that it's only available to the person who has this key. Okay? So you keep the key private and you have access to the data. Of course, the data resides on our servers. It means that we need to keep a copy of that data in our databases and servers to provide the service. Also, as some of you noticed, while we provide MT, we are also querying the MT engine to get a suggestion. So we are sending the source segment to the MT engine. So when you are translating in MateCat, there are different levels of privacy. One, you can add a private TM, just like I did here. Two, you can disable machine translation, like this. And by doing this, the only information that you share, you're sharing it with the MateCat servers. Okay? And the MateCat servers are secured because we use basically the same security level of bank services. However, it is clear, it is understood that if you ask us a question from the support, for instance, we can go in and look at your project to reply to you. If you don't ask us questions, or if you tell us, hey, don't look at the data, we don't do that. But just to make it clear, the data is in our servers. So the confidentiality issues come in when you don't have the possibility to use online tools.
Okay, and this is something that lots of you have been asking about. Let's talk about tags. So here's a question. I have a really hard time fixing tags. I get hung up on them and cannot figure out how to fix them. I looked at the tutorial on the site and I did the last webinar, but I'm still not sure how to fix them and they make me nuts. Alessandro?
Yeah, tags are a pain. I actually just published today a video that is called just that. Tags are a pain in the, well, you know where. So what we did in MateCat, and it's a new feature that we released just yesterday, a few days ago really, is we got rid of tags for a number of language pairs. If you create now a project in MateCat, you have the option under the settings panel that I'm showing now. You have the option to enable the guest tag position. So for a number of language pairs, it's bidirectional, so from English to German and from German into English, for instance. What MateCat does is it will place the tags for you. So you don't have to place the tags manually, but it's done automatically by the tool. Now, there are cases where this doesn't happen because maybe you're translating in a language pair that is not covered yet. One of the easiest way to solve the tag issues, let's say, is that if you don't want to place them in the right place during your translation, you will see a small icon below the segments. It's a square, black and white, tilted square. If you click on that, MateCat will place all the tags at the end of the segment. But anyway, our way of solving this problem is by going with machine learning and introducing this guest tag position feature for all the languages. You will have one button to place automatically the tags where they belong.
Okay, so there is a future for solving tag issues. We're very happy to hear that. This question's just come in for Ezekiel. There are occasions that clients request the translation memories we've been building for them. At the moment, we are building one master TM. But if a request is made for a client-specific TM, it is time-consuming to extract their translation memory from our master TM. Is there a way to build a specific client translation memory or to create a designated client TM?
Okay, quite a long one, this one. Anyway, you can create as many TMs as you like. So under the settings panel again, you can add any number of translation memory. And you can create translation memories per client. So you do like this, like I did just now. And you select the update feature only when you're working for that client. So you save the translation units into that TM just for that one. Then you can, of course, export the TMX. Now, this, of course, only works if you start creating this before your projects. Otherwise, another way of doing this is when you are translating, you can still export the TMX for the job. So with the segments only coming from this translation that you're doing. It's not the best solution in your case because I understand you want a TM for the entire client. So I would really suggest creating separate translation memories here per client. Also understand that each translation memory that you see here is multilingual. So you can actually add entries in any number of languages.
Okay, thank you. And let's move on to the next question. How can I use machine translation from Google Translate with MateCat if I have the ID number? And how can I add other machine translations?
Okay, so the good thing here is that MateCat already provides machine translation from Google. Okay, so the machine translation that you get by default in MateCat comes from Google Translate. It's the paid service by Google, so the one that is for professional use, let's say. And MateCat pays for that and provides it for free to all of you. So you're already getting that. You don't need to get your own ID or key for Google Translate. However, if you want to add further engines, you can click on Settings here, then go to the Machine Translation tab and add an empty engine. Now, there's a list of a few providers here. We just added SmartMate, for instance, last week, and we continue adding empty providers as they ask us to do that. Some of them are paid services, I would say most of them, but for Altlang and Apertium, for instance, we have a username and password for our users. It's in the support. So if you go to matecat.com/support and you look for these two, you will also find the username and password to test them out. If you want another empty engine in this list, well, just ask and we'll see what we can do to add it.
Okay, so let's look at a question regarding QA. Will you be adding more languages to the QA component or integrating tools like Xbench?
Okay, so MateCat uses two main QA components. So if we look at the standard translation job, you can see these two icons here. The first one that says, well done, no errors found, that's the standard QA in MateCat and supports every language, but actually checks only for tag inconsistencies, white spaces, double spaces, that kind of stuff. The other one, and it's this X icon, is provided by Lexica. It's one of our partners, so it's a startup that's building a very nice system to do QA. And I guess you've all seen that when you add something in MateCat that doesn't match what's in the source, for instance, here I added a punctuation mark, and Lexica comes up and tells you, hey, there's an error there, or a potential error. Anyway, it warns you about the problem. Now, Lexica at the moment only works for English, French, Italian, and German. However, by the end of the year, the Lexica team will be releasing a number of additional languages, namely Russian, Ukrainian, Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, Finnish, Quebecois, Portuguese, both for Brazil and Portugal, and Spanish. So yes, we are planning on adding further languages. But also, you mentioned Xbench. Well, Xbench actually did the integration, so they did it themselves, and they put up a nice video on YouTube where they explain how to use Xbench for MateCat. I will send it out. I will send the link out via email as part of our replies. But you can also look it up on YouTube by looking for MateCat Xbench. So it's already there.
Okay, another question that's just come in from Angelo. Can a project manager detect which translator is working on MateCat in the case that more than one translator has access to the link?
Okay, yes. And also this one goes back to the security question that somebody asked earlier. So whenever you create a project in MateCat and you are a logged in user, that project gets added to your manage panel. Let's open that. On the bottom bar, you know it. There's a manage link. Let's click on that. So when you are in this interface, you have access to the list of all your projects. You can see their progress, etc. But also there is a little known feature that is the activity log. See this icon here? Well, download the activity log. Actually, we'll open the activity log here. Okay, there's no activity on that one because these are all test projects for me. Anyway, with the activity log, what you see is who had access to each specific job. So you will see a list of all the persons with their IP address and their email address that access the manage page, the analysis page, the translate page, etc. So you can actually keep track of all of this just by looking at the activity log here.
Okay, thank you. Let's answer another question which came in by email last week. Is there going to be a vendor management portal to assign jobs to freelancers?
Okay, this is also something that is not there, of course, but it's coming. I mean, over the next couple of months, we're going to do a complete overhaul of the manage page. So what we're going to do there is we're going to build a sort of a transaction management or project management portal, I would say, where you will see, of course, most of the features that you can see now. So the progress bar, the button to perform some activities like launching a revision, canceling a job, etc. But also, we are going to add the possibility to share a specific job to a translator. So some sort of vendor management in that you can enter the email of your translators. The proper ERP, so a system to also manage your human resources, so your vendors, will probably come sometimes in 2017, but it's going to be most likely in Q2 or Q3. So it's still a long way to go for that.
Okay, we're looking forward to seeing progress on that. A question from Saskia. Can I deactivate machine translation once I have started a translation in MateCat?
Oh, okay. No, unfortunately, you cannot do that. You can only deactivate MT when you're creating the project. The reason for that is that once you created the project, you already have the word count and the analysis. And so by deactivating it in the translation editor, that would change completely the word count. So we cannot allow that.
Okay, and this question just came in from Victor. How long will MateCat be free for?
Oh, okay. This one is easy, forever. Okay, MateCat is free. It's a free tool, and the reason why it's free is that our philosophy for software development really is to build free tools for everyone to use, and possibly even open source. MateCat, in fact, is also open source. But how can we make it sustainable? Well, MateCat has a different business model. Maybe you've already seen this. When you create a project and you go through the analysis, you always have two options. You can translate the project yourself, or you can outsource it. When you click on this green button, well, you're basically paying for the translation service, and we get a cut of that. So it is going to be free forever. Yes, Miriam, you just wrote it. it's going to be free forever. Yes.
Okay, that's great. Another question from Daniel. What happens in the public translation memory if I edit a segment? Does that overwrite the previous match?
So yeah, we just introduced this. Again, it's a new feature, the update for the translation memory. So whenever you update, whenever you translate a segment that's already available in the translation memory as a 100% match, that gets overwritten. This works for the private translation memories and for the public one. Of course, you can have different translations in different private translation memories. So let's say for client one, you want a specific sentence translated in one way, and it's going to be saved in that private TM. And in the client two translation memory, you can add a different version of that. So you can, of course, keep different matches depending on the clients.
Okay, and Veronique says, I'm a project manager. How can I check if a translator who is working in MateCat is not just simply accepting the machine translation?
Oh, okay. Well, this is what our project managers at Translator do all the time. So before they deliver a job or they consider a job finished, what they do is they go in and check the editing log. So let's see if I have a project here to show you that. Okay, let's maybe try with this one. So you see I translated just one sentence there. Let's translate another one. And when you, well, if you look at the bottom bar here, you see this editing log link. Click on that one and it will take you to this interface where you see the average post-editing effort. Now, if no changes has been applied to a segment, this number is going to be 0. And this number, so the average post-editing for the entire job is going to be too low. What do we mean by too low? Well, again, it depends on the languages, but let's say that if it's below 25%, it's very likely that your translator didn't pay too much attention to the job and just accepted the matches too easily, let's say. Okay, so my suggestion would be to go into the editing log and have a look at the average post-editing effort, and then go down more in depth and look at the post-editing effort for the segments in order to spot the ones where they just accepted the empty output.
Okay, and Stefano is asking, following your answer to segments being overwritten when the translation is edited, what if I need two translations for the same segment because of different contexts?
So you can do that because when you get in the same job, what we call the propagation of your translation. So if you get repetitions in the same job, MateCat automatically propagates the first translation to the others. However, when you get to the second segment, let's say the second identical segment, you can enter a different translation, and MateCat will display a pop-up window telling you if you want to accept a different translation for the same source. If you do that, you will have two versions, basically.
Okay, Victor says it's great to know that MateCat will be free. Can you explain the payable rate breakdown with an example from the MateCat screen?
Okay, so let's have a look at the analysis here. Let's see if I have a job that... Okay, let's just try with the first one, and hopefully it's going to help us. So down here you see the payable rate breakdown, okay? You can see these numbers, these percentages. So for each segment contained in your document, we try to match that segment with the public TM, with the private TM, if you are using any, and with machine translation. And then we count the words in those segments and assign them to their specific fuzzy band. The fuzzy band is this, for instance, TM partial from 75 to 84. Okay, let's look at this one, for instance. Public TM 100%, it's our fuzzy band. And in the document that I uploaded, there were 17 words that matched a 100% match in the translation memory. Okay, so these 17 words will go into the fuzzy band that's called public TM for 100% matches, and they're going to be paid only 30% of the full word. So instead of paying 17 words, we're going to pay 17 by 30%. I'm not too good at math, but it should be something around 6, probably 6 words here. Okay, the same goes for machine translation. So we found 404 words for which we can provide empty suggestions. And for those words, we're only going to pay 80% for English into Italian. Of course, if this were, let's say, English into Russian, this number would be 85%. If it were, I don't know, Russian into Chinese, it would be 90%, etc. Then we multiply these words, so 404 by 80%, 17 by 30%, and sum them, add them up, and we come up with the payable rate breakdown. Now, I know it's a bit complex to explain, but there is a nice article explaining all this, and let's see if I can find it. You can see here the support page for MateCat, and one of those articles is how MateCat calculates payable words. So I would actually encourage you to go and look at this article because it explains quite clearly how we actually come up with the payable rate, payable word count. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Another question here. What is the difference between two segmentation algorithms, general and patent?
Okay, so depending on the type of project that you are translating, you might have different needs for segmentation. In MateCat, you have two. One is general, which really is general but varies across languages because segmenting a German text is quite different from segmenting an Italian text, for instance. But then you may also have specific cases like patent translations. So patent are often rich in formulas, so maybe chemical formulas, or acronyms that are very typical in patents. So in those cases, we implemented specific rules that don't break the sentence when you come across one of these acronyms, for instance. So that is the difference, basically. But I would say that in 99% of the cases, you are fine with the general segmentation rules. In those rare cases where you are translating patents or maybe chemical documents, you may want to try the patent rules and see how the text is segmented.
And another question here from Carrie. If I need support, who can I contact and how long does it take to receive a reply?
Okay, so you can contact us, of course. And again, the support is free, just like the software. You click on this Get Support label on the right of your screen, and you enter your question here. You start a conversation. Now, this works as a sort of a chat, and you can see you can talk with Francesco, with myself, or with Soraya. If we are online, we may also reply in real time. Otherwise, the chat is sent to us via email, and usually in a couple of hours at most, we get back to you with the replies to any doubts that you might have. And again, of course, for free.
Okay, and Hans has a question regarding outsourcing documents via MateCat. He says, if I decide to outsource translation requests through MateCat, how can I add specific instruction files?
Oh, okay. So again, from this page here, from the volume analysis, when you click on Translate, you have the option to do the translation yourself or to outsource it. When you click on this green button, Order, you basically place an order with translated.net. So you register with them and you go through their process of placing orders. And the last step is where you can enter specific notes for the project manager and the translator. So at the last step of the ordering process, you can actually provide any kind of information that you want to the translator. That's when you outsource the project. But then remember that every project that you outsource in MateCat is also saved in your Manage panel. So in this panel. And what you can do is, even if the job is outsourced, you can go in and have a look at what the translator is doing, so monitor the translation yourself, and then also talk to the translator by using the commenting feature. So here, you see that I clicked on the add a comment balloon, this one, you can basically leave a comment to your translator, to the project manager, etc. Okay, so two ways: the final step of the ordering process, or during the translation inside MateCat with a commenting feature.
Okay, well, time has gone very, very quickly. We've already spent half an hour answering your questions. What do you think, Alessandro? Have we still got time for some more?
Well, I see that there are still over almost 80 people, so I think we can go on for maybe another 10 minutes. What do you think?
Okay, well, we've got plenty of questions to ask. Here's one from Sarah. Is it possible just to look up from my translation memories without updating them? And can I prioritize my translation memories?
Oh, yes, of course. So you go to the settings panel again, and you add any translation memories that you want, just like I'm doing here. Then if you just want to look up, so you don't want to update the TM, you just deselect this checkbox. So with this setting here, I'm not updating any TM. With this setting, I'm just updating the client TM. But what if my best TM is actually the fourth one? I can grab it and move it up. So as you can see, I can just move them around. And this is how you prioritize the TMs. You just drag and drop them around among the active resources.
And a question from Miriam. If I haven't finished my translation and I want to stop and come back to it later, how does it get saved?
Okay, so there are different ways. One is, of course, the most obvious one, and that's with the Manage panel. So if you are logged in to MateCat, you can go to the Manage panel, and from here you have a list of all your projects. But what if you use MateCat as an anonymous user? Because, of course, you can also do that, right? You can use MateCat without ever logging in. So in that case, I would suggest storing the link to the project somewhere, maybe as a bookmark in your browser. Or another thing that you can do is you can go into the history of your browser, just like I'm doing now. So you can see all the websites that I visited. And here you can see all the websites, right? And you can filter those just like you would do with any other website, and then you find your translation. So the most, let's say the best way to do this is definitely to log in and have all your projects saved in your Manage panel. Otherwise, save the link as a bookmark, or 3, go into the history of your browser and look for the link. It's always saved there.
And another question which arrived via email before the webinar. So, in order to ensure full compatibility with MateCat, are there any preconditions for MIF files? Is any prep or work required? My pilot project featured plenty of formatting tags presented as localizable text, among other issues. Alessandro, can you help us with that one?
Okay, so I remember these questions. Actually, I had quite a few email exchange with the person who sent this one. Okay, so to put it quite frankly, support for FrameMaker files is not the strongest one that we have in MateCat. We are constantly updating it, and we're working with our partners. You should know that all of our file format filters are open source, and they are developed together with the Okapi framework community. So we are financing the Okapi framework community to come up with all these file format filters. So the FrameMaker, so MIF files, are unfortunately not the most common ones that we get, and so the support is not as good as with most of other file formats. What I would suggest here, and actually I already asked this to Stefano, who sent us this question, is to share with us the file, and we can look at it and try to fix the bugs in MateCat. So we understand that there are some things that don't work quite right. Our effort here is to improve also thanks to your feedback. So I'm very happy if you can share also these cases where it doesn't work, and I can put my engineers to work and try to fix any bugs. Okay, any more questions? Maybe.
Okay, yep, here's one just come in from Rob. How do I use the dictation feature in MateCat?
Okay, dictation. So yeah, this is one of the additional features that we added in MateCat recently, and you can find it under the settings again and the advanced options. So whenever you create a project in MateCat, you can activate the dictation feature. It works for pretty much all languages. It's based on the Google speech to text API, and so it covers all the languages that Google supports. And it's a broad number. So first thing, you activate it, just like I did here. Okay, but let's see if we activate it in a project that we already started. It's still the same project that we were using before. So we go again to the settings by clicking on this icon on the top bar, advanced options, and activate the dictation. So in here, now you see that there is a small microphone that popped up. When you come across a segment that, let's start this one. Proviamo a dettare. Okay, so you see how it works. You just click on the microphone turns red, and you start dictating. That's it. Then when you click on translated, the microphone will still keep on, and you can dictate through the other segments. If it's a 100% match, like in this case, the text is appended at the end of the segment. If it's not a match, the segment is empty, and you can start dictating from scratch your translation. Oh, by the way, I know that it works very well in Arabic. That was quite a surprise, but we got kudos from some of our Arabic users.
Okay, so our Arabic users get using the dictation feature. I think we may have time just for one last question. Yes, Alessandro is saying yes. Okay, so here we go. Can I use MateCat on other devices other than my laptop?
Okay, so MateCat works in any device basically that can support Safari or Chrome. You can translate with MateCat on a tablet if you're using Chrome on that tablet. So usually Samsung, or let's say Android tablets can be used to translate with MateCat. It doesn't work on smartphones because the experience is not ideal, even though you can still see the jobs. So if you want to have a look at the jobs to make sure that your translators, for instance, are working, you can do that even from a smartphone. But my advice definitely would be to use MateCat on a PC or a Mac with Chrome and Safari, or on tablets that use the Chrome browser. Okay.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I think that is all the time we have today to ask your questions. Thank you so much for asking such fantastic questions and for joining us and spending your time here today. We hope it's been useful, and we hope the answers to your questions have been useful. So we know there are still lots of questions left unanswered. There is a huge list here. So we're going to send out an email over the next few days where we'll answer all of the questions in detail, especially those that we didn't get to cover during the webinar. So look out for that email. So we hope that you enjoyed this very first Ask Me Anything webinar. Please tell us how we did today. When you close the webinar, you should receive a small poll, a small questionnaire with just some questions on how we did. So we would love to have your feedback. Okay, so thank you very much, Alessandro, and thank you, everybody, and enjoy using MateCat.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't cover all the questions, but really, I don't know how many there are. I know that will take me a few days to answer them via email, but we will do that, and we will send you an email probably next week with all your with the answer to all of your questions. So thank you for being with us for the past 40 minutes, and well, see you on MateCat. Bye. Cheers.